This video introduces a new user to IEM's Mini Electronic Wheel Gauge. It teaches basic concepts for preparing the Mini EWG, for taking wheel measurements, and for properly caring for and maintaining the gauge. Upon successful completion of all lessons and completion of a written questionnaire, you will be provided with a certificate that acknowledges that you have completed the approved IEM training program for the Mini EWG. Let's take a moment to familiarize you with the basic parts of the gauge. The hand grips are provided to facilitate placing the gauge on a wheel and removing it. The keypad below the display screen is used for selecting options and for entering information. The keys on the keypad are referred to as the backward button, the up button, the down button, and the forward button. A small speaker sounds a beeping noise to alert the user. An LED light flashes to help alert the user. Do not block the speaker or insert objects into the hole. On the top of the gauge, you will find the trigger that is used to begin a measurement. An infrared communication port connects the gauge to a host computer system. The small door on the back of the gauge provides access for plugging in the battery charger. A second LED light on the back of the gauge signals the user. Other important parts of the Mini EWG include the flange height plunger, the flange thickness finger, which operates as shown when taking a measurement, the rim sensor, the magnets help hold the gauge on the wheel, contact sensors ensure proper gauge alignment, a scale etched on the side of the magnet is used to take backup manual measurements. There are no user serviceable parts on the Mini EWG. Please do not remove any of the screws. Also, remember that the Mini EWG is a complex electronic device. Avoid exposing the gauge to any unnecessary shock, such as by dropping it or using it as a hammer. Turning the Mini EWG on and off. To turn the Mini EWG on, simply press the backward and the forward buttons at the same time. As the gauge starts, it will display some basic setup information. When the gauge has completed its startup cycle, it will be in the main menu. Take a look at the display. In the upper left, you will see a small picture of a battery. This illustrates the remaining life of the battery. If the image is solid, the battery is fully charged. If the battery image is simply an outline, the battery requires a charge. The upper line of the main menu may include the designations MP and TP. The MP indicates that there are records that require measurements. The TP code indicates that there are measurements to be transmitted from the gauge to a host computer. To turn the gauge off, first make sure you are in the main menu. Press the forward and backward buttons at the same time. Push the forward button to confirm. Navigating the menus. All activities of the Mini EWG are controlled by making selections on a menu system. The menus are displayed on the LCD window. For menu displays, you will see 3 lines of text. The top line displays the current menu title. The 2 other lines will display menu choices, actions to be taken, or specific wheel information. The up and down buttons scroll the menu up and down. The vertical scroll bar on the right shows where you are in the menu. An arrow on the left side of the display points to the active menu choice. The forward button will activate the current menu choice, leading either to another menu or to a set of actions to be taken. The backward button will return the gauge to the previous menu. If the gauge is in the main menu, pressing the backward button will have no effect. Calibration. IEM recommends that you perform a calibration check on the Mini EWG both before and after each shift. A specially designed tool called a calibration block or CalBlock is provided with each gauge for this purpose. To check the gauge's calibration, turn the Mini EWG on and then scroll down to the main menu to highlight CalBlock Check. Press the forward button. When placing the cowl block onto the gauge, make sure that the flange height plunger is centered on the cowl block. Then verify that the cowl block is firmly engaged. This may take some practice to get used to the correct placement. When you have the cowl block attached, press the trigger. If the cowl block is incorrectly engaged, you will get a message that calibration failed because the cowl block is not in contact. Realign the cowl block and try again. When properly aligned, the gauge will indicate whether it passed or failed the calibration check. If the gauge passes the calibration check, return to the main menu and continue with your work assignments. If the gauge fails the calibration test, retest the calibration. If it fails again, notify your shop trainer or designated gauge champion. Now that the gauge's calibration has been checked, it is ready to measure wheels. Adding a record. The Mini EW